Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday, and I guess that means it's time to dig in with Draped in Gold, your favorite pro wrestling podcast, TV show, program, whatever you want to call it. I'm Jack Farmer, being joined by Flobo Boys. That's right, we flipped spots for the day. We had a little bit of fun. We're doing things a little differently. Flobo Boys,
yeah,
how you feeling? And with the 4th of July right around the corner, what's your favorite thing to use your freedom on?
Oh, I boldly to assume I have freedom. Probably lay out on the couch to get one of those old man naps, the one that happens in the middle of the day, and you're like, oh my gosh, how much time did I waste? That's the best way to spend a 4th of July. But I love the fact you started the show being like, it's Wednesday. I guess that means like
I didn't want it to be. I started as like, I don't want it to be. I don't want to rip off the AEW thing. I got to do something else. But I was so far along into the process.
I guess that means a show. What about you, man? It's Freedom Friday. What do you plan on doing?
You know, I'm thinking about what you just said, falling asleep, waking up, and waking up to a good, bad movie on TV, like halfway through. I'm thinking what are the best, this will be our question of the day. Everyone in the comments, everyone in the chat, let me know what your favorite bad movie is to wake up from a nap from, like in the middle of it. I'm thinking a movie like Sylvester Stallone's Cobra. That might be one of my favorites.
I was going to say Under Siege 2, but Cobra's a classic. Yeah.
Under Siege 2 is a good one. So yeah, everyone in the chat, let us know your favorite bad, great movie to wake up to in the middle of an afternoon. I think we're definitely aging ourselves a little bit here. Oh, JLJ Media with one I was actually thinking of, Demolition Man.
Oh yeah, San Angeles, right?
John Spartan. What a great movie that was.
It's a good one. It is a good one.
I loved it. But everyone in the chat, by the way, thank you so much for being here with us and hanging out. I want to give a shout out to Danny C, Ricky Sinclair, who shared the show. Danny C shared the show. JLJ Media, I'm sure will eventually share the show.
Whoa, right? Don't get him started, man. Don't do that. I'm getting filling for you when you still come to work. We love you, James.
We already got some good movies in here. Over the Top, Danny C. What a great movie.
Yeah,
you know, my favorite part about that, this was something our good mutual friend Andy Rossi tipped me off to. What's that? Of course, people have not seen Over the Top. It's about a truck driver who arm wrestles. His name is his last name's Hawk. I can't remember what his first name is. I think it's Luke Hawk. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but it's Hawk. In any case, he picks up his son and goes on tour, tries to reconnect with his son, Mike. And Andy was the one that pointed it out to me. Does that mean the kid's name is Mike Cock?
Dad jokes. I hate it. Whatever it is, I'm not gonna watch.
It wasn't. Come on.
I'm gonna watch it out of spite. It's the ska music of movies.
Ricky Sinclair saying Street Fighter.
That's a classic, sir. That's Raw Julia. Absolutely Raw Julia's in this movie.
For me, it was a Tuesday. What Lincoln Hawk? That's what it is. Ricky Sinclair. Lincoln Hawk was
okay. Yeah, Mike Hawk.
But and the son name was Mike. I think they called him Michael throughout the.
If you repeat the joke, we're gonna get demonetized for swearing.
But let's talk. We want to talk a little bit of wrestling, obviously, on the show. And this is funny. See, when Flobo's in control, there's a lot of order, and we color in the lines. And I'm in control.
What? You were in control for 2 weeks. I saw the shows.
Like, let's party. Let's go all over the place. Street Fighter 2, there's been some casting news. I don't even actually know how accurate it is, but I saw it on X, which means it's pretty safe to say it's right. We see that Roman Reigns looks like he has been cast to play Akuma in the new Street Fighter movie, but I've also heard rumblings that Cody Rhodes could be Guile in the movie. Flobo, how excited are you on a scale of 1 to 2 turbo? Are you
for the new championship edition? I like the idea of reboots. I know people don't. I think they're cool to keep properties on top of mind, but there is nothing about this casting that sounds serious in the slightest, unless there are a bunch of puppets and animatronics. You know what I'm saying? But Roman Reigns as Akuma, that should be purely like a conjured up like CGI or like animatronic like manifestation. Like I don't want to see Roman Reigns go over and be like, bleh. I don't want to see him like breathe fire. It's kind of weird. Yeah.
Before he shoots the fireball, I want it. If it's me, I want it to be. I love the idea of a reboot. I'm with you. I think you always got to look forward. That movie's in the past. We're not watching it much anymore. Let's do it again. Let's have some fun with it.
Okay.
But I would love for them to have all of this stuff be very practical effects, like the original, where Jason Momoa as Blanca. I don't want to see him with like special CGI. I want them to have just like this silly makeup and stuff.
Oh no!
You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
and lightning made off camera by some of the PAs. No.
Yes. I want it to look like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 movie where it's just very all real animatronics and stuff. That's what I want.
That is an awful idea.
In this day and age, I want it to look that way.
It hasn't really been a good fighting game movie. I feel like once you get into the storylines of things, and it doesn't really hold up. You know what I mean? Tekken, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, fighting game. What options are there? Was Tekken a movie? It clearly wasn't good. I didn't see it. I didn't know they made it.
Double Dragon was a beat 'em up. That was a thing. Yeah, Tekken was a movie back in 2009. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. I don't know. I feel like I loved I loved Mortal Kombat as a kid. Not a fan of it as an adult. But
by the way, Tekken's on Tubi if you want to ever check it out. This show.
I think I might actually go watch Tekken tonight. To be honest, I think I'll watch it on Sunday after I wake up from a nap.
Oh, put it to sleep first. Yeah, definitely.
Man, so we've got some stuff to talk about. We got to get to some serious stuff, and I do want to touch on something that happened. We talked about the weekends. Talk about something that happened on Collision, Flobo Boys, but not. Let me correct myself. Not on Collision, on AEW Kyle-lision. Kyle Fletcher faced Kyle O'Reilly in a Kyle-lision match, and these fans in Washington State stole the show. Flobo, did you hear the chants? What were your thoughts watching the "We love Kyle, Kyle sucks" chants?
Absolutely ridiculous. I loved it. It was great, but absolutely ridiculous. Like, please don't die, Kyle. Like, it was fantastic, man. Because you put that on paper, I'd be like, you'll probably like laugh to yourself if Kyle Fletcher took on Kyle already. But the crowd in Washington went full tilt. It was totally worth it.
It's so funny because we laughed so much about and made fun so much about WWE not wanting anyone to have the same name. And we were like, it's fine. Who cares? Whatever. Yeah. And then this happens. It's like, oh, maybe they were onto something with the whole not having the same name.
Right. Situation. Like how many Browns do we have? We had a Strowman, we had a Reed, we had a Breaker. It was kind of crazy, but you're absolutely right. That guy, the old management was onto something.
Jeroy J said, we Kyle people.
They Kyle people.
What a fun way to add some fun to Kyle-lision. Kyle Fletcher, though, I still maintain an absolute superstar. That guy's going to keep going.
Hot take.
You think so? You don't think he's going to be a superstar?
I think he's a star, but a superstar? I don't know, man.
Superstar.
Tony Jimmel. That was awesome.
So, yeah, everyone in the chat, let us know, is Kyle Fletcher going to be just a star or a superstar or a protostar? Danny C said, I did hear we want Farmer, which is true.
Farmer sucks.
Tony Khan, I know you watch our show, and I appreciate it.
Why does he watch isn't he not busy Wednesday nights? Isn't he at work? Why does he watch our shows?
He watches our show as part of his like post-mortem, like after the show, you go and we got to like learn and see what we can. That's where he watches. Tony, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. You could share the show every now and again, though. You just because you're a lurker doesn't mean you get out of it too, pal.
So hold on. We're putting him to work. Thanks for checking up.
The farm hands on demand. Yes.
You're not calling your fans that.
Oh Absolutely my not. Goodness. Yes, Absolutely everyone. Nope. All the lurkers are now the farm hands.
Stop.
I love it. Yes. What do you call your fans again?
The Flobotomist.
The Flobotomist.
No,
and then it was the voice.
It was the Voices crew for a long time. I had a Patreon, but I don't know. Flobotomist sounds cool.
The Flobotomist.
Yeah,
that sounds like a underground rap crew that always has very technical lyrics with very clear rhymes
and no fans, just like
no
me.
fans.
You don't know about the Flobotomist, bro? You don't know hip hop.
Well, speaking of Tony Khan, we had episode 300 of AEW Dynamite, a pretty big milestone. I think kind of surprising. We've talked before already about how it's been on longer than Nitro and
crazy.
It's just crazy stuff. But some things happened on this week's event. At this week's event, All In Texas Deathmatch is official. It's going to be Hangman Adam Page versus Jon Moxley for the AEW Championship. This was, I had some thoughts on this promo, but I want to hear your thoughts on this promo in particular, but also the idea that this will be a Texas Deathmatch.
Well, I think we were talking about this in our chain, a little text group with just us, text message. I don't know. Conversation.
We're just texting. I don't think it's a text
group.
Yeah,
sorry about that. I'll text you of two people. All In felt kind of flat to me, the build for it. And I understand AEW is getting it from all ends. Like they had a down year last year. All In isn't in Wembley. WWE's counter-programmed them. So they're fighting from underneath, as they say in the biz. But I was not impressed. That said, though, even though the Moxley Page match will write itself and tell itself, the promo this week, I think, did a good job of saying, yeah, it's worth checking it out. But the question I have is it a good job in telling people to watch it live? That's the thing I wanted to ask you about, because it was good as it was, as solid as it was it enough to make All In must watch?
I thought that this was the best promo they've had selling us on All In that they've done so far. The best segment they've done on that. And I think adding the Texas Deathmatch, I think someone like Adam Page, obviously Moxley has a history in these kind of things, but I think when you look at Adam Page's resume in these kinds of matches, it is sort of, if you're into this kind of wrestling, obviously, must see, you have to tune in because they're going to do some horrible things to each other, Flobo. It's going to be very violent. I'm going to probably cringe the whole way through it. I thought this segment was actually, all in all, I loved it. I thought the whole thing was great. I see, as Ricky Sinclair says, Paige actually nailing Marina was the moment of the night.
Oh, right. Got it.
Yeah, with the buckshot lariat, Flobo.
Hey.
So I do get, this is just a little thing. I don't like to pick nits, when it comes to certain things, but something that bothered me was the start of this whole thing was Jon Moxley saying that you don't have the guts to be in this kind of match. You don't have what it takes to do this. Adam Page has multiple times shown us that he is a sadistic person in these Texas death matches. I don't know what his win-loss record is, but I think it's pretty good. But he's done some crazy things in these matches. And so it felt just very naive to even be saying this. Not even from I'm the bad guy. I'm being I don't think you're tough enough kind of thing. But it's like after Mick Foley went to the top of the cage to challenge him to a hell in a cell and be like, I don't think you're tough enough to be in a hell in a cell, Mick Foley. Yeah, clearly he is. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because Adam Page is a confirmed arsonist. But I do think that from Jon Moxley's perspective, maybe he sees the walls are closing in and he's trying to do a defense mechanism. Like, you're not tough like me. Kind of a deal,
I don't know. I didn't like it. I mean, it didn't ruin it. Like I said, it was still the best build to this match. But I don't know. John, have you... Yeah, you're claiming to want to defend AEW. Have you watched the show? Because this guy has put needles through people's cheeks. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, if you're Jon Moxley, you feel your group is cooler than everybody else's, is all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, he thinks his group is cool, but that doesn't mean that a guy who has historically done this stuff multiple times can't do it.
Would you believe Jon Moxley was like, oh, you're tough. You may put me through the ringer, but I'm going to beat you still? I mean, that sounds very lame if you're the Death Rider guy.
You got to be like, listen, you may be tough, but you're not tougher than me. Like, you hit him with the old Bane line, like, oh, you've embraced the darkness, but I was born in it. You got to hit him with one of those.
What accent? What paid impression was? You sound like a Muppet.
That's it.
Oh,
I have 3 impressions.
oh,
Flobo.
that's bad. Oh.
I have 3 voices. That was one of them.
What the hell was that? Okay, I get your point, but still,
that's as good as it gets. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
So, let us know your thoughts on this one. I like this build. I do think that they've leaned pretty heavily into hoping that this match sells All In. I wish there's a few more things that were. I guess we got Kenny and Okada.
Wow. You guess you have Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada. Like that closed the dome 5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago. What have you done for me lately? They'll be great. They'll be great. It's not that I don't think they'll be great. I just don't know if that build has been that big. It feels like a lot of the build has just been. I don't know. I feel like the build hasn't been that incredible to me. Do you think they've done a good job in the build of that?
No, and I think had this been a full gear, I'd have been like, "Oh man, sign me up." But it's been very apparent over the past year and a half that All In is your Bound for Glory. It's your Starrcade. It's your WrestleMania. So yeah, you're not Wembley, but if this was on the card for Wembley, I would ask respectfully, where's the rest?
Yeah, I'm with you. It'll be a great show. They always are. But I want to talk about this. Is something I really want to talk about. We don't have to talk about too long, but man. Bandito's cool. Isn't Bandito? I don't know. Just every time I see Bandito, I'm like, this guy's cool. Isn't he cool?
That's the first time I've heard of it from you. What made him cool today in particular?
He's always been cool. I was just watching him, and we always talk about who could be that next luchador that really captures the American imagination, right? And I know
you're saying Bandito.
I'm saying Bandito. I'm saying 6 shooters in the sky. Boom, 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 boom. Give me the bags of money with the dollar sign on it. I'm robbing the bank, getting on the stagecoach. I am a Bandito, baby.
I'm not disagreeing with Bandito's coolness, although you've never mentioned it ever until tonight. But say the more face of luchadors right now, you got an actual son of a Viking with a championship walking around in AAA. And you're saying Bandito. That's a bold choice, a spirited choice, if you will.
I mean, and I know you've gone Axiom. I know there are a lot of people who said Dragon Lee for a while. Now Pentagon is obviously up there.
Iguana.
Phoenix, Mr. Iguana might be the answer. But I don't know. I'm looking at Bandito. I'm like, if this guy, he is. I don't know. He's just cool. That's something he's Scott Hall cool. I can't help it.
So riddle me this then. Let's say you were the advocate for Bandito, and Bandito is cool, right? But How do you get him on that next level of being like top of mind? Rey Mysterio, Bandito, all those other guys. What would you do to push Bandito to the next stratosphere?
You got to put him in. You got to make him an AEW Dynamite roster member. First off, he's wearing the Ring of Honor championship, and that's cool. But you got to be AEW. You got to be on the main brand.
Wow.
And then you've got to be someone who's in rivalries, and you got to be winning rivalries, and you got to be in there with some of the big names and beating them up. I think if he was out there beating up guys like to get started, let's say like Lance Archer, making the Don Callis family look silly. Oh man, take my money.
Wow, that's crazy. It's back in my day, Ring of Honor was the brand, but now you're right. Once you have the RO's title, you ain't nothing without AEW.
I'm just saying that's where we're at right now. That's the reality of it. But last thing about AEW I want to talk about, EVP title versus no title shot for a year. That's the situation the Young Bucks and Swerve and Ospreay find themselves in now. Flobo. I go into this and I say, listen, I want to see the EVP titles taken away. I understand from a story logic standpoint, the good guys got to put something on the line, but this very much feels like let's just put this on the line. You put the thumbs down. What are your thoughts? What was that all about?
This takes me back to when I was a teenager and Edge had a hair versus hair match against Kurt Angle. a very balding Kurt Angle. And we had no idea who was going to win that match, did we? I think people understood the writings on the wall. Whether or not you're a Young Bucks fan, I am not. Again, respectfully, you could tell being EVPs kind of put them in a corner. They really can't do much because they're evil, but they can't be as evil as the Death Riders. And so they're evil. They can't be there every day. I do think they're kind of tipping their hand with the stipulation. But if it were to come to pass, I'd actually be glad of it because now they're free of the shackles of that title. They could do more things inside the AEW storyline mill.
I do like that it gives them stakes, so I'm okay with it. But it does also, as they say that, hey, if we lose, we won't get a title shot for a year. I feel like the Young Bucks could have said, how about you don't get a title shot for a year because we're the EVPs and we said so.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like why? I remember one time I asked my dad, will you pay me some money to mow the lawn? He said, mow the lawn because I told you to.
Dang! Wait, there's somebody more Jack Farmer in your life than Jack Farmer?
You'd be surprised.
Jeepers.
So I don't know. That's how I felt about it. Again, I like it. It adds stakes. I get that it's there, but it also feels a little bit like, okay, clearly you're just trying to logic this up, which is fair, I guess. But yeah. I want to go over to the other side of the pond. I want to talk about the WWE side of things. Ooh. Of course, they had a big road trip over to Saudi Arabia, and a lot of stuff happened, Flobo. A lot of big things happened. A championship changed hands. Someone who a lot of people have been looking at as a future star finally got strapped up. Julia, the U.S. champion, already saying it's just a stepping stone. Is this U.S. championship a ceiling for her, or is this just the first of many major accolades for a future Hall of Famer?
First of all, shout out to Saudi Arabia because that country or kingdom is not going away. That's going to be a part of the calendar. You better get your tickets now, y'all, because WrestleMania is going to be in Saudi Arabia sooner rather than later. I'm confused. I really am. The Women's United States Championship is new, so maybe I'm projecting a lot of the male side onto that title, maybe unfairly, but it looked like it was going to be a new page with Zelina Vega as champion. Not necessarily that her being champion all the time, but I thought she would have a run. But it seemed very much like the rest of her career. She was another transitional champion for Julia, someone that we love, we adored, and if you watch Japanese Joshi, you're a big fan of, but I'll be absolutely honest with you, never found her rhythm in NXT, never found a rhythm on the main roster. So now she has a title, which necessarily doesn't have any legacy behind it. And now she's being tasked with being the face of a division that I don't think the fans are quite engaged with. Again, not talking about talent. I just think it's perhaps a bit too premature.
Droid J says, this is Julia's stepping stone. Do you think this is a bit of a all or nothing situation where I'm thinking for a prove it situation for Julia, like, hey, make this championship mean something and the world is yours, or sink or swim, I guess is actually the phrase I'm looking for.
Yeah, it definitely is because the title is so new, right? If she had a run without a championship and it was like, give her a strap, that'd be the thing that people will always say in an IWC. I like this person, they should have a run. Well, she has the gold now. And you're on SmackDown now, you're down to 2 hours, not 3 hours. So the time you get is going to be a little bit limited. You got to be able to show and prove. And SmackDown isn't us. We're wrestling enthusiasts. SmackDown plays in Iowa. It plays in Peoria. It plays in Arizona, where people may not be into the deep nuances of foreign wrestling. So she has to find a way to cross over sooner than later. And I'm just worried that might be a bit too much to bear.
Well, hopefully she makes it, because obviously I'm a fan of stars, so hopefully she's a star and it works out great for her. But it is interesting. It'll be interesting because there's a lot of people who
wait, a fan of star. What does that even mean? I like good movies. Okay,
yeah,
that doesn't a fan of stars. What does that even?
I hope Superman is a good movie because I like watching good movies.
Okay. Just walking away.
I don't get to
I like good stuff too.
I hope she fails because I love it when miserable.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You're like, I'm rooting for Julia, not because I like Julia. Be like, I like stars. I'm like, well, who doesn't?
That's what I mean. I like stars like everybody else. I hope it works out. I hope she's great, and I hope she becomes a big future. I've said before, I was always a Vaquer person when they both came in. I don't think they did themselves a lot of favors bringing in all these very talented people at the same time, because then it makes it harder to focus on any of them. So I hope this works out. I hope it plays in her favor, and I hope it gives her a chance to showcase, as opposed to constantly getting compared to other people who came in at the same time.
Yeah. The thing is, even though I'm a character person, Fat Cara, besides Booker T getting her over, looks very unique. She had the horns on. It has a very satanic, or not even satanic, but fallen angel situation. I get that. Julia, as technically sound as she is nothing you can really describe. So I'm not saying that's the death knell, because you can, like, really, what is John Cena's character when he was a face? It was a guy who never gave up, right? But it puts a lot more work on the performer now to come across something you can root for. And we saw that this weekend at Night of Champions with Jade Cargill, which we'll get to in a minute. Like, here's somebody who's just built like a specimen. That crowd could not be any more or any less interested.
Yeah, it's and speaking of that, of course, we have our women's Queen of the Ring. It's just Queen of the Ring. It's not the women's Queen of the Ring, but
the Queen's Crown tournament. Remember that?
The Queen. Yes, Queen's Crown. She won. Also, Cody Rhodes wins King of the Ring. Something I want to talk about in general. I feel like if you have anything to say about these individuals being the ones that won, obviously feel free, but it feels like they kind of made sense. Wade Barrett had an interesting line here, and I want your thought on this. He said the winners obviously get a shot at the champions at SummerSlam. He said making this the equivalent of winning the Royal Rumble on commentary. What are your thoughts on that?
Can't be, because King of the Ring is a moving target. I remember the first King of the Ring leading to a SummerSlam title shot was when Brock Lesnar won it. And I was like, they're changing the rules for Brock. And he went to SummerSlam, steamrolled The Rock, and became the youngest champion ever of WWE. So for that to be the case, it will take some time. But I understand. You are Wade Barrett. You're serving two masters, and that is you're on rotation in color. And also you're in a environment where you always have to sell the PLE as the most important of the year. Like, for example, Crown Jewel last year had a Crown Jewel championship. We never saw those again. But at the time, it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I get it. As a SummerSlam aficionado, I think it's cheap. But also, I do remember June being like the King of the Ring month. So as long as it's here in a couple of years, it may be more true. But I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Wade Barrett was lying to you.
Is this just WWE copying AEW again in the way they do the Owen into the winner getting a shot at All In? I mean, come on.
I want one-day tournaments. Is that so hard to ask? Give me the 8 bracket. Give me the 16 bracket. Like, I want a one-day tournament PLE. Please show me endurance.
Yes, I actually love that. Oh my God, could you imagine? That'd be so much fun. I think they absolutely should do the one-day tournaments. Bring them back. I know Triple H, I know you're a big fan of the show. I appreciate you. I know you're a lurker. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, obviously. But
5 stars,
you heard the review here first. Any takeaways from Cody and Jade Cargill and their wins?
The fact that no one really cared for Jade Cargill was kind of unsettling. I know the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has her own fandom, like how different cities react differently, but I thought just for the sheer power of Jade that she'd be seen as like a superhero, and her response was flat. It was kind of jarring, and Cody winning makes a lot more sense than Randy Orton. I get it, but Randy Orton being a runner-up 2 years in a row so late in his career was kind of hard to see, but it was the right call to have Cody win this match.
Yeah, I agree. It was the people who won made the most sense. I feel like my heart wasn't necessarily into the winners, just as a fan, because like you said, I would have loved to see Randy Orton get that win as a fan, and Asuka as well. But also, when you look at the happenings around WWE, Jade and Cody make the most sense.
Sink or swim for Jade. She doesn't even have a title, but I think this is her summer. This is when Billy Gunn won the King of the Ring. It was like, we're putting with The Rock this summer. Can you handle this?
I love Billy Gunn winning King of the Ring, and it broke my heart. You broke my heart, little
King
Billy.
Ass broke your heart. He called himself
King Ass. Little Billy. You broke my heart.
My name's Billy. Oh man.
You know what's funny is I'm sure they talked about that promo before it happened. And I bet they were like, oh, yeah, this is great. And Billy goes like, oh, yeah, that's funny. And then it happened. And it's like, oh, no.
Yeah. There has to be a moment where you're like, my career is over. Like, where's EC1 and 2? Your career is over.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen.
Speaking of careers ending, John Cena's career is winding down, and he defeats Punk with a run-in from Seth Rollins during the whole thing. I want to talk about a few things that happened here because we haven't had a chance to talk about this. I want you to break down line for line CM Punk's basic Punkonomics promo.
I do not. Look, I like Punk. I dang sure like Punk more than Jack Farmer, especially now. I like old man Punk. Young Punk was whatever. And I thought Punk has taken so many cringe shots or negative aura point hits over the past 2 weeks that it did not work for me at all. 2 men north of 45 dressed like the time traveler for 2005 was sad, man. And I'm an old man saying that. That's awful.
You know, as a fan, I'm not necessarily the biggest. Like, I don't usually root for CM Punk in general. But seeing him like this promo, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, it is. I felt like that was the classic kind of promo that happens. Like, no, buddy, you should come over and like watch wrestling. You'll love it. And then he comes out and he's doing this like, and they're like, this guy's corny. What the heck is this? Like, no,
sorry, it's not like this. Next week, right? Oh.
So it was a bit corny, but we get to the match and Cena defeats Punk again. Rollins comes out. They get into a shouting match. But in the end, Rollins gets what he wants. Punk does not become the champion. The more I'm watching these John Cena matches, the more I am joining the legions of people who say that I just want to see Cena be a good guy. I want to see. I feel like we only get so many more of these matches. If he had like 2 or 3 years left, I'd be on board. But like this was, all of his matches are ending with such shenanigans.
Okay.
That I want to see John Cena get wins. I want to see him be John Cena.
He's still a champion. See, he won in Saudi Arabia.
They're all, yeah. I don't know. Like,
you were a fan of this 4 months ago. What changed?
Actually, if you run the tape back, you see that I said I wanted to see Super Cena one last time, but I was interested. It was an interesting take. Let's see. I said, let's see where it goes. I'm interested. Now that I've seen it a bit, I'm over it. I want to see John Cena getting real wins. Or even if he's going to be a bad guy, I want to see him win, not Seth Rollins runs in and causes stuff to happen, or there's all these shenanigans and things going on. I don't know. These are the kind of matches he's having, or the kind of matches you have when you're on Raw building up to a bigger matchup, not like on the rundown of the greatest of all time's career.
Look, I love it every time someone says, I've never seen 17. That is the most cheesiest thing. I love it. It pops me every time. But
that's great.
But to your point, excuse me, I think there's room for that. I think there's room for him in an arc and maybe having 1 or 2 matches and as a face, or even if he doesn't do that one last face promo and make everyone goes home happy. I don't think this should be quitted on. I do think it's great. I don't think there's anyone who is on the roster who's a heel now that can go toe-to-toe with the face Cena now, especially now that we know he's retiring. I think this is the best move for everybody because you have all these faces, all these heels who get cheered or rapscallions who are beloved that you can feed to Cena and have him be the big bad for a while where you're resting Roman Reigns. You're resting the final boss, I think. You're teasing a heel turn for Cody Rhodes. This is totally the kind of stopgap programming I want, baby.
I don't think John Cena, the greatest of all times, last few times on TV should be a stopgap. Like I think that's the problem. Is it shouldn't be a stopgap.
Why is that? He knows, unlike Edge, who keeps on going. Cena knows where he
Edge
can
hasn't
do.
Been on TV in months. So
no, I don't mean Cope. I mean Edge. Edge being like, I should still go. You got a retirement match. I'm saying, look, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, Cena knows his range. He knows that he's the peacemaker. He knows his other responsibilities. It is not his job to feed on nostalgia anymore. Like as a performer, that's terrible. They have to go back in time 25 years to do that again. Oh, let him be a heel.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying I don't like it. And I'm not in a oh, he's a good bad guy kind of way. I'm saying it in a I feel like this isn't as good as it could be kind of way. And I think if we got to see the real John Cena do his thing one last time against Randy Orton and get a clean win, and you see the real John Cena get a clean win against Cody Rhodes and all these people, I feel like they would be bigger, more special moments.
Then I ask who then? If Cena says, "Oh man, I bumped my nugget. I'm now a good guy," who would you want to see him fight with his last appearances? He's on what, 14 now, 15 now?
My rundown and how I would fantasy book it is he has his match with Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. I would say Cody Rhodes wins that, and which frees up John Cena to have matches with whoever at that point. But Cody wins that, and that would be the Return of the Jedi moment when Darth Vader realizes he was wrong and helps the good guy going forward. And after he loses to Cody Rhodes, then he builds on to his final match, which would be against the final boss, The Rock. And I think in his last moment, John Cena beats The Rock for their rubber match, closes things out, and defeats the final boss, all in his final move.
That just sounds like Hogan when he was a Voodoo Child version. I hate it, but it makes sense.
Well, then I was going to say he should be Mr. America and wear
Juan Cena returns.
That's what I would do. In the chat, let us know what you guys would do with John Cena. I have another question for you about this, but before we do, we got a super chat. Shout out Terrence Matthews. Terrence Matthews in the chat. Super chat. Thanks for coming through. Says, hey guys, been a fan since AfterBuzz.
Woo!
AfterBuzz TV.
That's 4 companies ago before he got fired.
Every time I hear AfterBuzz, every time I read AfterBuzz, I hear it in Maria Menounos' voice.
Oh yeah, let the buzz begin.
Let the buzz begin. It says, just curious, what was your reaction when Roman Reigns went from the big dog to the tribal chief? Well, I love that. Flobo, what about you?
So when at first I hated it, but it was really because of my own disgust that in 2020, that I think that's when he came back as a tribal chief, right? During the pandemic. He came back on a pay-per-view called Payback, which was programmed a week after SummerSlam. And to me, SummerSlam was sacred. So the fact that the show I didn't even count as canon had to return Roman Reigns, I was a stick in the mud about it. I was like, But as it got bigger and badder, like it was the perfect show within the show in SmackDown. You worked all week, you sat down on the couch, you watched SmackDown, but like there was those segments backstage. It took me back to when I was a kid and Mr. McMahon was backstage. It really was like pure wrestling the way I remembered it as a kid. So I eventually loved it, but at first I was payback bitter.
That is the most Flobo reason to not like somebody. Is
leave SummerSlam alone. Put that on SummerSlam.
leave it alone. Put it on SummerSlam. Make up your mind, Flobo boys.
Don't put a pay-per-view pay-per-view back then, a PLE after SummerSlam. It's sacred. You don't do it at WrestleMania. Well, they did it one time at Backlash, but still. Yeah, whatever.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's very, very Flobo voice, but I love it. I have a question for you though, Flobo, and this is where you're going to probably get upset at me, but it was something I was thinking about as I was watching Night of Champions, and I don't want to say the shows are predictable, because if you look at a lot of people's predictions, they're not perfect. People are not getting perfect predictions. I feel like it's been a long time since I've watched a PLE and really felt blown away by something that happened on the show. Even going back to like WrestleMania, Cena winning was historic, but it felt very like, okay, yeah, this is what was supposed to happen. I feel like, and this is such a spoiled wrestling fan thing to say right now, but I feel like the storytelling has gotten to a point where it's become so, I guess, good that like it's not exciting. And there's some of the part of pro wrestling is the messiness of it, and like random stuff happens. I feel like I haven't been really blown away by the ending of a show in a long. They're all great, but I don't know if I'm making sense here, Flobo.
No, I see what you're saying, because I was like, no, I was thinking about that. It's like, besides R-Truth return at Money in the Bank, I'm with you, right? There really hasn't been a show that it made me go, oh my gosh, this reminds me of the first time I saw, I don't know, No Way Out 2001. I still think about that pay-per-view. But
Yeah.
I think the problem is what you're saying. I think when you have all of these PLEs, which you're getting site fees on, and you're trying to make it a big show for Perth, for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for all these places, and you have a Raw where it's a cold open, and you have a sponsored post, a sponsored section, where it's just the talent arriving, everything feels like a big fight feel. And as they used to say on the Conrad Thompson shows, if you got a roster full of giants, you ain't got no giants, right? And I do think that's the problem. So for me, I realized personally, I cleanse the palate by watching Evolve, by watching NXT, and I go back to that. But if you're just watching the main roster and PLE, yeah, it becomes like having too much cake, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it, because I mean, like I said, there's nothing I would like. Even Night of Champions, I'm looking at it and like, well, there's nothing I would say, well, they should have done that differently. But yeah, I was gonna say after I thought the receipt collector, our boy Dylan Matthews, the Gift King, coming through,
because I thought he had left watching our show at all, so I had to stop what you were saying. This is way more important. Dylan Matthews, the OG, man, you know.
The Gift King. We got Terrence Matthews coming through as well, OG from AfterBuzz. We got Dylan Matthews. We got Ricky Sinclair, Jeroy J. We got the whole crew rolling through. Flobo boys.
There's what? There's some weeks I was like, we should probably quit Draped, but no. Ricky Sinclair really retweets our stuff. We do it for one guy in the crowd, man. Now we have more than one guy in the crowd.
Well, Dylan says I had to catch COVID to catch you guys. Well, you didn't have to do that.
I thought he was in the future, not the past. I thought Australia was in the future.
Yeah, what do you mean?
No, I'm just kidding. Get well soon, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk a few. This episode of Raw, though, was actually one of the best episodes of Raw they have had in a while, Flobo. And there was a few moments, a few things that had me thinking this might be my moment of the week. This might be my moment of the week. And one of them was, this wasn't it, but it was close. I want you, though, to just break down for me and just give some love to that beautiful Bill Goldberg promo package we got on Monday Night Raw. Did that just pull at those nostalgia heartstrings? Did that just make you feel like, who's next? Did you want to start chanting Goldberg, Goldberg, Flobo, come on, Goldberg?
I have become the biggest ironic fan of Goldberg. I wasn't big on him as when he was in his prime, but I've realized I've hated him for so long. I like the guy who shows up like any old grandpa, be like, "Oh, I'll tell your kids how to fight." And I love Big E being Goldberg. I'm on board, man. I feel like July 12th is going to be a holiday for wrestling fans. The promo, it was terrible, but it doesn't matter. I've already bought my free ticket to Saturday night's main event to watch Goldberg's last match.
Goldberg's going to win, baby. And I'm going to be so loud. I'm going to be so loud about it.
Dude, he's not going to win.
I'm like, Goldberg. And then I'm going to be like, see, Triple H, you listened to me. And now we have an ending to a show that I'm going bananas for. Let's Goldberg.
Gunther is going to fold him up like one of those accordions on those Roadrunner cartoons. I'm like, he is one of those, man.
Goldberg is going to split him in half and then jackhammer him. It's going to be, and by the way, this jackhammer he's going to hit, it's going to be a beautiful jackhammer. It's going to be up. He's going to get Gunther up straight up. He's going to hold him straight up vertical, like it's going to be a perfect right angle to the ring when he lifts him up. And then he's going to slam him down perfectly. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to lose my mind.
I got two questions for you. One, do you think he's going to go Broadway, 60-minute match? And two, will this match actually be better than the one he had with Lashley? Because I love that one. To me, it was like one of his better late-stage matches.
I think that this is going to be I think it's going to be a 3-minute match. But I think, like Gunther's been saying, but I think Goldberg's going to get the win. And I think it's going to be beautiful. Goldberg. And like I said, everyone else, they can be upset all they want, but I'm going to be going crazy. My soul will leave into the astral plane as it does when great wrestling happens. And I will transcend time and space. I will be right. I'll be right there with him and his family celebrating. It'll be like Gage, me, and Goldberg, my astral plane.
You weren't invited.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi's astral plane transfer. We're all like, yay, Goldberg. Goldberg. It's going to be crazy.
He's going to get hurt, man. Like, he can't lift up Gunther, can he?
He will. He will.
He will not.
It's going to be so good. Flobo, it's going to be so good.
Okay, here's a question. Would you be more excited or less excited had it been Jey Uso in Gunther's spot?
That's a great question. I think I'd be less excited.
Oh.
Because I want Goldberg to run through someone bigger than he is.
He's not running through anybody. I don't think you understand what's happening on July 12th. He's getting destroyed.
He is going to win, and it's going to be beautiful, Flobo. It's going to be beautiful. I'm so excited for it. And Goldberg is going to continue to cement that Hall of Fame legacy. When did he go in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. 2018? I don't know. I'll look it up.
Danny C says just as excited. And Dylan says, I'm afraid one shot from Gunther might send Bill to the afterlife. No, what's going to happen? He's going to chop him as hard as he can, and Goldberg's going to go and make the Goldberg like scrunchy face. By the way, you've seen good fashion before. You know a good wrestling shirt. Is Goldberg's new shirt one of the greatest ugly wrestling shirts you've ever seen?
That is a loaded question. It is pretty ugly. It is mighty ugly. Would I buy one? No, absolutely not. Would I give one for you for your birthday? Probably.
I would totally rock that ugly shirt. It is hideous, but
notice he said he wouldn't pay for it, but he would totally. I wouldn't pay for it, but if it was given to you for free, I totally would wear it.
But that wasn't my favorite moment of the show. My favorite moment of the show, this segment that I'm about to mention was like exactly what I look for in pro wrestling. From a segment, it was just to me, it was beautiful. It was one of the best segments I'd seen in a long time. And when I think of the type of wrestling I love, this was it, and that was the Gunther, Rollins, CM Punk, LA Knight all mashed together segment, going from one thing to the next thing. And it felt like anarchy. You didn't know what was going to happen next. You have good guys and bad guys going against each other, but not necessarily along party lines, with Rollins and Gunther staring face to face. You have absolutely nuts stuff. People who shouldn't be there fighting in the crowds. Flobo, this is what pro wrestling. No. This is what summer pro wrestling is all about. I loved this. Flobo, tell me I'm wrong. This was fantastic.
I love it. I love the fact that everything goes anywhere. I always say this all the time. Maybe it should be formally, but I want a Mystery Vortex pay-per-view. I want a night where all things are going. You get these weird worlds collide type matchups. So to me, I'm happy about that. And of course, I've been advocating for LA Knight because I felt like his window closed in 2024. So I want him to give him a bit of shine. This is how it's done. Put him in the top of the card. You tease him for a couple months, maybe pull the trigger around Royal Rumble time. So yeah, loved it.
I want to see LA Knight do so much more. I see the receipt collector saying LA Knight desperately needs to move to Raw. I just want to see LA Knight winning some great matches against people. Like when he had that stare down with CM Punk, I want to see them go head to head on a microphone. Why? Wait, what's the eye roll?
I like the stare down, but I guess LA was excited. He goes, you want the line? I'm the line, yeah. I'm like, oh no, dude.
He did stutter.
Punk is reeling. He's losing aura. Now's the chance.
Yeah. He did stutter. I'm not gonna hold it against the guy, but because those two are great on the microphone, but they're such polar opposites in the way they talk.
Yeah.
And so I can't wait to see. CM Punk has his very rooted in reality kind of way of talking. And then to see the cartoonish LA Knight, that
would be funny. It was like CM Punk's like, I'm going to tear you down because I'm the best in the world, and that's like, stop down, dummy. Yeah, be your team.
I cannot wait for it. Yes, I will go.
Oh my goodness, that's awful. What a train wreck.
My goodness, how good will that be, though? I mean, there's. LA Knight may be unstoppable on the microphone because the way he talks and what he does just makes anyone else look stupid. Like, CM Punk could have the greatest burn and the greatest, deepest cut promo ever. He could cut a pipe bomb, and LA Knight was like, look at you, big dummy.
Fact of the matter is this. No. Just like, oh man. That is just awful. That is an awful idea. Don't do that, please, Triple H. If you're watching,
please! I will love it. I will love it.
Triple H's gonna be like, he has so many requests this week. Goldberg goes over. he wants to stare down a fucking night.
Goldberg going over is not a request.
It's not going to happen. There's no much training you can do to withstand a prime Gunther.
It will happen, and it'll be glorious. I hope they use Bobby Roode's entrance theme just for that moment after he wins. It was glorious.
Having glorious as an exit theme is peak WWE 2K. That is insult to injury right there.
Danny mentions though, I was hoping Jack's favorite segment was finding out that El Grande is not Chad Gable. The mystery continues. I mean, the reason why that wasn't my number one moment is I've always known it's not Chad Gable. Clearly, you could tell that they look different.
Clearly, it wasn't.
Clearly, he's not Chad Gable. But talk to me about this.
You're nuts. It was Chad Gable. I'm talking to you. Let me talk to you. You're nuts. It was Chad Gable until this week.
Well, don't BFT me.
Calm down, dummy. Oh man. Oh no, I actually love this. I always lament the Triple H era is missing humor in the traditional sense because it breaks up segments. And El Grande Americano, as dumb as it is, as Ezekiel as it could have been, has been pretty fun and pretty savvy. And apparently there's a refreshed El Grande Americano, one that doesn't talk this week. So it's pretty sick.
It would be fantastic if El Grande Americano wrestles for years and the person wearing the mask just changes on a regular basis and it becomes
Big E
kind of a bit. Right. Yeah, like one day, where just for whatever reason, and they'll have Kaiser and El Grande on the same show and they'll start doing the same thing. Is it Kaiser? And then they switch to the next person and it's just another person wearing the and then what if one time they have it be El Grande Americano, but it's actually Penta wearing the mask, but Penta's mask is under the El Grande.
If they could pull that off, like having it it's actually Penta, but that'd be kind of sick.
Yeah, I love that. That just makes me happy watching that. I want to talk as we get to the end of the show. I want to talk about our MVPs of the week, Flo.
Oh.
And you can have your MVP if you want. But I have my MVP.
I think you have the same MVP.
Well, you better change yours because it's like when you're ordering at a restaurant, you don't want to get the same thing.
I do that because that's what I wanted. You don't do that?
I do that all the time.
Is that weird?
No, I do it all the time. My friend Andy, our friend Andy, whenever we go out to eat, we always joke because whenever we eat together, we always get the healthy thing. But they're like, do we really want the healthy thing, or are we just trying to act like we're healthy in front of each other?
Oh yeah.
I'll get the egg white omelet. I don't really want the egg white omelet, but I want him to think that I'm not getting I'm the master waffles.
Of the salad and get the donuts afterwards. You want some donuts? Yeah.
So we get to the MVP of the week, and that is Yoshiki Inamura. Dude had a chance to get a NXT championship shot, and he actually came through against the massive Jasper Troy. The world counted him out, Flobo boys. They said, listen, Jasper Troy clearly going to get another shot. That's the obvious thing here, but not my boy Yoshiki. Not my boy Yoshiki, my favorite NXT wrestler going. This guy has captured my heart. I'm all in on him, Flobo, and he actually did it. Jasper Troy went down. What do you feel about that?
I actually like
your
it as well.
Favorite Jasper Troy.
Wait, what? That is wild allegations here. I like Yoshiki too. No, it's true. It's true. No, this is fantastic, man. You talk about new opportunities in NXT. I'm not saying I didn't like the Jasper Troy matchup. I'm not saying Obafemi can run it back because it's Obafemi. But I think once you get in and have a title match, Jasper Troy has to go back in the end of the line, like 2K, that storyline and start over. Yoshiki Inamura is kind of this weird thing where he has you're drawn to him, but he doesn't do much. And now is a chance to really show the world what that can do. Can NXT support strong style? It's a good MVP pick. But the question I have is, will he get destroyed? Like how Goldberg's getting destroyed next week because Obafemi is an absolute machine.
listen, well, okay. I'm kind of at an impasse here because Goldberg is winning, clearly. Easy to say.
He's not winning.
I want to say that about Yoshiki, but nobody beats Obafemi. That's like the
You put your
hard
boy-
line. That's like the hard line in the sand. No one beats Obafemi.
It's your boy. You're leading your boy off the slaughter. So are you really his friend?
I didn't lead him there. He's going himself. But so I got to ask you this though: is this good news for Yoshiki or is this bad news for Jasper Troy? That's what because now the guy that came in looking like a NXT champion contender just ate 2 losses in a row.
Oh, it's terrible news for Jasper Troy. He has to go back to the end of the line, or if he wants to show a little bit of edge, attack a recent champion and now a former champion now. But it's good for him. You showed him he's in the mix now. We already can buy him being in the main event, so it's only a matter of time to see that polish. But Yoshiki Inamura, to his credit, was a tag team. Kind of went home for a couple weeks, took his ball and went home, and is back in the mix. Ava's running an asylum, and it can come willy-nilly through that broken door or forbidden door. Why not take that and use that to your advantage? You know what? I actually root for him. He's not going to win, but I'm rooting for him.
Oh, I'm rooting for Yoshiki. I'm rooting for Jasper. I'm rooting for all these guys. But what is it like? You're good about it. Like, see, I usually just like follow my heart like a cartoon following a smell cloud from an apple pie. That's kind of how I follow my pro wrestling. But you're good at like breaking it down. What is it about Yoshiki that because you seem to like him? I think a lot of people. I think clearly people like him, and I think that's why he's in this situation. But it's hard for me to really break down like this is why I like him. But there's just something about this guy that for a long time. And I can't remember if I said it on the show, but I know I've said it in text. Something about like even when we first started tagging with Briggs, I was like, I don't know what it is about Yoshiki, but I love this guy.
Yeah, he does have a certain look that you don't really see from Japanese talent, and he's built like a lot of the performers that we've seen come from the NIL stuff. So here's somebody who is versed in a different style of wrestling. Here is somebody that looks like he can hang with the 21-year-olds that are fresh faced from the college circuit and has a world-weary seasoning because he's also has good comedy timing because he doesn't talk as much. Now, Josh Briggs, the tag team works. I think it's really cool, but you cannot root for a guy who looks like he can beat you up in real life. It just doesn't work like that. And this show started off as an NXT UK show. That is the blueprint up and down the NXT UK roster. People from all shapes and sizes who look like, even if they're comedic, even if they lose all the time, they can beat you in a fight.
Yeah, Pretty Deadly used to wallop people back in the day, believe it or not. Dylan Matthews.
The Dandy Highwayman.
Nigel is so good. Dylan says Jack follows his heart and is never wrong. Asterisk. Yeah, of course. There'll be 4 soon enough. But I have so that kind of wraps up the show.
Whoa, do I get an MVP now? Huh? Because I have to go change mine.
Oh yeah, who's your MVP? Is it Karrion Kross?
You don't even
a back bump?
Whoa.
No. You jumped all. You're like, hey, Karrion Kross can't back bump. And hey, he went out there.
He went out there and did the one. He did the Macarena, one of his biggest hits, and that was it.
Macarena. He did twist again.
Yeah, twist again. He did flex by keeping. Sorry, deep cut. No, I was going to say, from was so rudely interrupted, that my MVP has to be the NXT signee, Blake Monroe. And the reason being is that you are in this pool with some of the greatest women on the roster. How do you stand out? There are people who are taller, younger, like whatever. You align yourself with a juggernaut. And now she has a ticket punch for the next PLE for NXT, the Great American Bash. Has to be Blake Monroe. The glamour is getting herself some shine.
Well, I think that's a good one too. I think Karrion Kross deserves a Medal of Honor for taking a back bump. No, I
will never give that guy praise.
It's silly how like certain rumors and stuff will start online and the world just gets wrapped up in them one way or the other, though, whether it be that or other things. When you're looking at news, by the way, on wrestling sites, just take a deep breath before you react.
Kind of ironic that we used to be on Wrestling Inc. That had the worst news. It was all made up. Like, what the hell were we doing? Like, we were doing a legit show on a site that had terrible news updates.
It was an interesting time, Flobo.
Oh, man. My integrity.
Before we go, one last thing I'm going to give it to you because I know this is the person I thought you would say would be your MVP, actually. Solo Sikoa. Reloaded.
Thank goodness. I am so glad for this guy. I Solo as a street champ at NXT is one of my favorites because I totally bought that because the idea was his brothers had left him behind, but he was thrust in his role in the new bloodline. People hated it. I thought it'd be cast aside. Now, granted, there's a bunch of new characters that I'm not sure where they rely, but I love the fact that Jeff Cobb has a job. I love the fact that Solo is back. I love the fact that Solo looks like he's formidable again because this guy really can carry shows. Maybe not the main event of SmackDown, but hey, look, here's a chance to give him something he can latch onto, and when Roman Reigns come back, Bloodline versus Bloodline 2, I'm in.
Well, I am as well. I love what we're getting. Flobo, this has been a real dandy of an episode, a dandy highwayman of an episode. Whatever. But I want to thank everyone who joined us. Ricky, Dylan, we had Droid J, and the receipt collector, Danny C, and everyone else. Appreciate you guys coming through to our small but mighty team of people. Again, if you could like, comment, share, subscribe, 5-star review, that obviously helps. If you'd like to see us do some interviews, maybe get some wrestlers on, let us know. Let us know who you'd like to see us get on this show. Now, remember, we're not CVV. We're not Fightful. We can't get Roman Reigns on, but I don't know. Maybe if you think someone we can try to get on here, let me know. Maybe we'll reach out to them. Flobo, before we go, any final words? Where can we find you online?
Got to give a shout out to George Hermosa, who slept in for me for the past 2 weeks. I was out there getting old, but I appreciate that. Yeah, so during the week, I'm kind of a bum and a schlub, but I'm on that blue sky at Flobo Boys. I'm also on that X at Flobo Boys, and I have a sports comedy blog called Just the Sandwich. New article up this week and every other week. If you want to come down and see the writing styles of Flobito, that's where you go, justsandwich.com.
And you can find me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. That is where you can see what I'm working on. I just did some tapings for the United Wrestling Network, and there was some big stuff that happened there. I've been doing ring announcing for them lately, as well as some interviews. Okay. Trying to do as much as I can, trying to be busy, trying to get TV time. So, keep that out there. I guess I don't know. Flobo, but until next time, say the words.
Give up?